Welcome back. Okay, just to recapitulate a little bit. The purpose of this video series is to give a rock solid foundation for how to live a maximally meaningful, purpose driven life that culminates in the best kind of happiness possible, everlasting happiness, the best kind of happiness possible for a human person as such. All right? And we're just starting from square one and we're working our way up and we're building the foundation for that understanding, okay? So we've already given a proof for God's existence. We've already shown that God has to be the cause of every living being as such. We went on to show that He has to be the cause of the being of everything, not once upon a time, like the watchmaker who designed the watch, but as the very cause of being of everything right now. So just like if you are being pushed right now, there has to be something pushing you right now, not once upon a time, but right now. If you are being pulled right now, there has to be something pulling you right now, not once upon a time, but right now. So does God in giving being to those things which do not cause their own being. He has to be causing the being of these things right now, not once upon a time, but right now. Now, one thing that's crucial in understanding all of that is properly distinguishing between what I call kinds of beings and kinds of things, okay? By kind of being, what I mean is that which does what it does or has the power to do what it does because of what it is. Okay, I'll just repeat that. By kind of being, I mean that which does what it does or has the power to do what it does because of what it is. I'm talking about subjects, things that act or can act in some way. Okay, and by kind of thing, I mean that which does what it does or has the power to do what it does because of how it is. Now let me give you an example. I'll give you lots of examples. By an example of a kind of thing, I mean a battery, for instance, okay? Someone makes a battery, an electrical battery. Now, the battery does not have charge because of what it is. If a battery has charge, it has charge because electrons outnumber protons on one side and protons outnumber electrons on another side. That's how it has charge. So it doesn't have charge in virtue of being structured the way it is. It has charge if you make it such that the electrons on one side outnumber protons and the protons on the other side outnumber electrons. Other things being given, like the neutrons and everything. So that's an example of something that does what it does. If you connect a circuit to it, it'll generate electric current. It does what it does because of how it is, not because of what it is. A battery as such does nothing. It's the electrons and the protons that do all the work. And they don't move themselves, simply. They're moved by one another, right? Okay. But an electron has charge because of what it is. If it's indeed a simple particle, which is not reducible to something else, it has charge because of what it is, okay? All right, that's what I mean by the distinction between a kind of thing and a kind of being. So I think that all the fundamental particles in physics are distinct kinds of beings because they do what they do because of what they are. And if we're wrong about that, which we could be, like, at one point we thought atoms were simple things. If we're wrong about that, well, then they do what they do because of how they are, but there has to be some first subject that does what it does because of what it is, okay? Now, so let's just say they're right, and they could be wrong, and they probably will be proven to be wrong about some of it at some point. Maybe not, who knows? But there has to be some first thing, some first kind of being that does what it does because of what it is. Okay, now, when you get to living beings as such, by living being as such, a living material thing, what I mean is that which at least has the power of organic growth and development, okay? Or if that's not what you mean by the word, let's just call that something, and let's refer to that which at least has the power of organic growth and development. That's a new kind of being. Organic growth and development is defined by that towards which growth and development is going. There has to be some end point, something, some possible being that does not exist yet, but will exist because of organic growth and development, like an acorn growing into an oak tree, or a fertilized egg of an elephant coming to be an elephant, or whatever it is. Okay, so organic growth and development as such, what we mean by that word is something more. It has more being than just what can result from mere attraction and repulsion, or pushing and pulling and whatever else. Just one thing moving another, causing it to change place one way or another, okay? Or causing things to stay together or stay apart, or whatever it is. Organic growth and development is something more than that. Okay, so God created the first living organism that was capable of organic growth and development, whatever that was. It's just like a plant. I know it wasn't a plant, the first one, but it's like a plant in that respect. Okay. Secondly, a new kind of being. Once again, animals. By animal, what I mean is a living organism that at least has the power of sensation of some kind, and the power to move itself based on sensation of some kind, okay? There had to be a first living organism, which in this universe as we know it had to be capable of organic growth and development, although that's not absolutely necessary to be an animal, but whatever. There first came to be a being that was capable of sensation and self-movement based on sensation, okay? That was the first animal. That's a new creation. Now again, God is maintaining the being of everything, of every being. He's causing things that exist to be, as we saw in the last video. But this isn't an intervention, because God is doing all of this from the beginning. But it's a new creation. The first animal was a new creation. So it required a special act of God. The same thing goes for the first human person. As we know, human persons didn't always exist, but there had to be a first human person. A human person has a mind and a will, and by which I mean we're capable of thought and choosing and intending and willing the good as such. We're capable of that because we have a mind and a will. But the object of a mind is an idea. It's what's entirely immaterial. It's not the act of a body. Okay, I have a brain, but my brain is not my mind. My brain is that by which I'm able to process, sense data, I'm able to form memories, I'm able to imagine things, and I'm able to act based on processing sense data and remembering things and imagining things. All animals are capable of this. That's part of what it means to be an animal, at least an advanced animal. But to think and to grasp what is entirely immaterial, the meaning of any word that can function as a principal part of speech, especially nouns and verbs, the power to grasp the meaning of a word, what you're grasping is something entirely immaterial. Just take any word which can function as a noun in a sentence, and take any word that you know, like I fully understand the meaning of that word, okay, whatever it is, something really simple. So for me, like an example of that is like a chair. I think I fully understand what a chair is, okay? But what a chair is entirely immaterial. I mean, the idea itself. By chair, I mean that something made by a man that is capable of supporting oneself while sitting, and it also includes back support, okay? That's my definition of a chair. If that's what I mean, to think that thought, that's not an act of the brain. It's what I mean by the word chair. It's not an image. If you said, give me an image of a chair, I'd have to draw a picture. Like it has to be a certain color, unless it's like made of glass or something. It has to have, the ultimate chair has to have size, and so does the image. It has to have shape, Is the back support rounded at top or flat at top? I don't know. I have to decide something. But that image is visible. It's that which can be seen. An image is that which can be seen. An idea as such cannot be seen, right? It can't be touched. It makes no sound, whatever. It has the thought itself has no shape, it has no size, it can't be pushed or pulled, it's not material, right? It's totally immaterial. So what is the subject that's capable of beholding what is entirely immaterial, the way, analogous to the way an eye sees something visible? What is it that beholds the intelligible as such, or the understandable as such, the knowable as such? What is the subject that does that? That's a new act. That's a new act. To be able to understand the meaning of words, nouns and verbs at least, as such, that's not the act of a body, because the object is material in no way. It's not visible. It's not tangible. The thought itself doesn't even have position. Like we say, it's in our mind, but there's only one meaning of the word chair, if you really get the definition. So there's not many meanings. If it were like an image, an image has place. So there are many images, but there's only one meaning of the word chair even, okay? Something as simple as that. Okay, so a human being is a new creation. The first human being is not just an animal. It's a new creation because we have minds and wills, which animals do not have. Okay. The first one, we're going to talk about every other one later, but at least the first one was a new creation, okay? Now, I just want to go a little further and talk about the different kinds of being. So we've already enumerated some kinds of being. A fundamental particle, at least, the first living organism that was capable of organic growth and development, that's another one. The first animal, another one. The first human person, another one. I want to go just a little further than that before we go on. I want to say that what you have when you have a new kind of being, which is something that acts in a new way or has the power to act in a new way, such that what it's actually doing, like understanding the meaning of words as such, that's not reducible to sensation and memory and imagination. All the way, it's not reducible to what was before. It's something new. It's a new kind of being. So this is my assertion. Whenever there's really a new kind of being that begins to be for the first time, that's a new creation. It's a new act of God, a special act of God. It's not an intervention, because God is holding up everything in being constantly. So he's always there as the creator who's sustaining and being everything right now. But when there's a new kind of being, that's a new act of God. So let's talk about the origin of species for animals, okay? And by extension, it applies to plants and everything else too, every other kind of living organism. But what really constitutes a new kind of animal? It's not, that, you had this animal that had a shorter neck, and then it gradually came to have a longer and longer neck, such that it's a giraffe. That's not a new kind of thing. It has a longer neck, okay? I have a long neck. I mean, I'm not a different kind of being than other human beings, right? Being tall or short, or birds changing color, these are black birds, those are blue birds. That's not a different species. That's not a new kind of being, okay? So yeah, that can happen by chance. The thing that can't happen by chance is when something acts in a new way that hasn't been done before. And that it's just something new, like sensation and self-movement. Now, something that is new, a new way of acting, is that which is defined by a purpose, which is first of all an idea. Every purpose, first of all, exists as an idea in the mind of a person. That's the only way a new purpose can come to be, or a new action for a purpose can come to be, is first of all as the idea. It's first of all an idea in the mind of a person. Just as the first living organism, the first animal, and the first human person was first of all an idea in the mind of God, that applies to every new act or new power to act or new purpose, okay? So here's some examples. A bird building a nest for the first time. If that's what the bird is really doing, it's building a nest, so that what a nest is defines and actually causes everything the bird does from beginning to end. Finding suitable material for a nest, transporting suitable material for a nest. If that's really what the bird is doing, it's really building a nest. God created that. God created the first nest building bird, see? And the first web spinning spider, and the first beehive building bee, and the first ant colony building ant. And this doesn't just apply to building things, kinds of things. This applies to running away from a predator for the first time, running towards a prey for the first time. Does it apply to flying itself? Like, suppose the first ones were walking, which wasn't true. Okay, so the first ones are swimming. And then you have an animal, the first walking animal. Is that a new kind of animal? I think so. And the first flying animal. Like, what does it mean to fly? To say what that means, that's not the same thing as walking, right? That's a new word. You can't reduce flying to walking. Flying by means of flapping wings, to be transported by means of air, by pushing the air down and being uplifted by the pushback of the air. That's not walking. That's a new kind of act. So whenever you have a new kind of act and you have something that just naturally has the power to act in this way, that's a new kind of being. And whenever you have a new kind of being, God's behind that. God causes kinds of being to be. God causes new kinds of being to be. So can't you see? Evolution explains the origin of 0 species of living things. Every time you have a new species, God has to be behind that. God, the creator. So look at all the work he's doing. He's like always at work. He's been at work for millions and millions of years, right? He's not the watchmaker who designed things and then may have died. He's always present and he's always working. And that is the origin of species. Stay tuned.